kind of get my notes back here, just kind of where we are with things. We do have some people on paid staff. So I'm on paid staff as well as we've got several other people. So I just want to kind of read through the list I've got here. Earlier this summer, I forget what the month it was, maybe a month ago, we brought on Tyler. Tyler, are you here? Where's Tyler? Tyler, can you just stand up? We brought Tyler on. Let's give Tyler a... Tyler is amazing. You can sit down now. I'm just messing with you. I love Tyler. He's just an incredibly gifted young man. And I'm telling you, just the timing, when you've been doing this a long time, you just see the hand of God. They moved here to Greenwood by faith, and he was just knocking on doors, just trying to figure out what God has for him. And we got a similar story. He's got a recording background, in audio engineering, and that's what my background is in. And so that's why I like him. That's really the only reason why. But anyway, Tyler is just incredibly talented. He's an incredible musician, and he's just got an incredible heart for students. And I've just got the opportunity to watch him in action, leading the games, doing the teach time with both middle schooler and high schoolers, and I'm just so grateful. So we brought Tyler on. We started looking, last year because I knew my daughter, she's down at Asbury Seminary. God set the whole thing up for her to be here to help us get this whole thing started as our worship leader. And I knew she was just trying to figure out where she was supposed to be. And and I'll come back to that here in a minute. So I knew that we started losing some families because we didn't have middle school in place. And so it was like we just had to get middle school nailed down. And so I had posted on several Christian universities' websites, just trying to find a middle school person / worship leader. Why? Not just for Sunday morning, but we want to raise up this generation, these young kids, to be worshipers of God. Why? Because that is the highest call for man, is to worship God. And so we want to raise them up to be worshipers. And so we wanted somebody that's going to just worship with our middle schoolers and our high schoolers. We do worship in our children's ministry. And so we kind of had that picture of person we were looking for. I got a couple responses from those posts and a couple of the universities. And it just happened by word of mouth that there's this guy named Tyler that Mickey's daughter roomed with his wife up at Ball State, and they moved to Greenwood, and just this whole thing just kind of came about, and I was like, sure, I'll meet with him, and then walks this tall, lanky guy, and we sit down and just have this incredible conversation, and I got Roger in around him, and we just drilled him with so many questions and theology. He turned white almost and almost died that day, but we're just grateful for Tyler. And so Tyler is on part-time staff with us, and then we also have our children's coordinator is Katie Grieve, and I'm sure Katie, are you in here? Yep, she's right there. Katie, can you just stand up? Somebody made us. Katie Grieve. And Katie takes a lot of time, and just through the course of a month, pulling together all of our curriculum and just helped us really get our children's ministry, working alongside my wife, just to get that whole thing up and going. And I just want to say thank you for all of you workers that sacrifice every week going back there. It's just awesome. The kids matter to God. I talked about that in our last family series. And so Katie, just thank you. She's on part-time staff for all you do for us. And then my daughter Alyssa we cut her back. She's still on part-time staff. Alyssa she designed our website. She manages our website. She uploads the videos and links and does all that stuff for us. She also does all of our social media, all of our graphics. So she's still responsible for all those things. And so we have Google Drive and we stay in constant communication. So if I need something from her, she still does all that stuff and takes pictures and whatnot and helps us keep all that stuff moving. And then another person is our business administrator, which she is not here. She actually attends another church, and that's Christy Bennett. And Christy and I work together. Some of you I know Christy. Christy, in my mind, is like the best in the business as far as a church financial administrator. She is just incredible at it, and she has such a heart for ministry. And so she just gets it. She's gotten all kinds of training, been to workshops. She keeps us legal, and she keeps us on our toes, and she is great, and she is a no-nonsense person. And so I just feel safe having somebody that's looking at everything and keeps us in line. And so Christy, she attends another church, which is perfectly fine. She's actually helping another church plant that started the same Sunday we did, that they're probably having their 1-year anniversary. But we meet every week, we FaceTime and just make sure that everything is going well. So she is on part-time staff with us as well. So those are just kind of key components as far as where staff is. So I've got a pie chart. If we could just put that, Nicole, could you just punch that pie chart up here so we can just kind of look at this. So I just want to kind of give us kind of a visual of kind of where we are financially. So if you notice the top, it says expense breakdown. Okay, this is just how we've spent money over the course of the last year. Actually, I think this is a report from January to September. It's not a year, this is January to September. And so you see on there that staff is right around 60% is where the money, your generosity is going towards staff for helping us get ministries started. So just so you know, typically what you want to see in a church is you really want to see that to be right around 50%. And we're a little over 50%. And the reason why is because, and you can go online and look this up, when you're doing church planting, typically this is what a church planting pie chart looks like. Because usually you're spending a lot of money trying to get the right people in place to get things up and going, so that by the time a year's time is up, you've got some established, some ministries established, generated some critical mass, and so it's key, like I said, that we brought Tyler on to help us get our middle school going, and just really grateful for Roger. I cannot say thank you enough. He does not take a penny from us. One, because I don't want to give him any money, but no. But Roger, he's been doing our high school ministry for a year now. They started off meeting at his house. And he, when their church joined us and we all just kind of came together at the beginning, he wanted to be able to teach. And I've learned a lot from Roger through the years, and I'm just grateful that he kind of is our high school pastor, teaching pastor. And so we have him just on a regular rotation teaching, and he just does a phenomenal job. And so I just want to say thank you. So that's kind of our pie chart for the staff. And then so the other part, when it comes to operation, administration, there's a lot of things that just kind of, it's like 20% of a chunk that goes into just us running everything. Paying our rent and all the insurance issues, website, marketing, government fees, office expenses, accounting fees. There's all kinds of stuff that goes into running an organization. And then we've got the two other segments just broken down as worship, which is just everything we do on Sunday morning from children's church. Even actually that includes even Sunday night with, I think with students. Maybe that's under ministry. Students, I think, is under ministry. So as far as our expense goes, that came, some of that includes all the equipment, things that we've purchased to get us up and going. We've purchased sound equipment, AV equipment. We purchased a baptismal tank, the heaters, just, all the coffee stuff, just all the stuff throughout the year that we've just kind of, purchased to make this every Sunday happen. That's all part of our worship expenses. And then ministry is all of our outreach, marriage ministry, student ministry, all the other ministries just kind of fall under that. So that's just kind of just a quick little breakdown with that. So there's another chart I just want to kind of give you, and this may be information you don't want, but I'm just going to go ahead and give it to you just because I want you to see this. So if you can look on here, that the green is kind of how giving has been coming in. Now, you have to understand that we've got more coming in than what we're actually spending. That's good. That means we're being frugal in how we're spending. We're not spending, too much. And what we kind of had to do, we got together with the board, and I'm going to introduce a couple of those guys who are here this morning. We got together at the start of this whole thing. We just had to decide how we were going to do this. We only, we started in September, and then it's like, well, the end of the year's coming. We got to have a working budget for the following year. And so you only have a track record of a couple months. Now, I've studied church planting, in the past, and so with church planting that some people are going to come, they're going to check the thing out, and they may not like what it is. It's not what they expected it to be, and that's all good. So people will kind of come and go, and so you have to be very conservative on how you manage your money, because you never know, who's going to stay, who's not going to stay. So we put together just a very frugal budget that we ran on, and so we've got more coming in than we've actually spent. So we've got budget lines where we're at the end of the year's not up, so we may just spend it all. But anyway, just kidding. So the good thing is that we're doing well. And so at the end of this fiscal year, we'll be able to kind of look at everything and just sit there and say, okay, now where are things that we can change? So even though I said on the pie chart that the staff is at 60%, that could change because we could increase budget lines in other areas. Does that make sense? Because we just have to be wise in the process so we can, I've just been around situations, and I'm not going to mention any places where it's just, sometimes just leaders just want to spend what they don't have, and we don't want to do that. And I don't want to get to a place where, this facility closes down and we're homeless and we don't have a place. So we've just been putting money in the bank. So we've got some money there. So when time comes, we'll have some money. My hope is that when that time comes, we just so you know, we renewed our lease. So it's increased, our rent increased, because now we're renting the gymnasium for our student ministry. We're just living by faith and trusting God that He's going to grow this. But we're good. We're good as far as our expenses goes. And so we want to be able to grow it to where then when we have some money there in savings, when it comes time to have our own property, our own facility, we don't have to have a huge campaign, because you guys are already, I always try to tell staff that I've worked with, like, guys, and some of these guys just want to say, you need to go get a real job and work in the real world once in a while. Because, and I'm not saying that you have to, but I'm just saying I've worked in the real world. I know how hard some of you guys work. And your sacrifices that you make and giving, and it's not for me, it's not for a building, it's for the kingdom. And I know that, but I know how hard you work. And so I just want us to get to a place, when we get to that place, when we make a transition to property, to a facility or whatever, that we've got some money there. So we've got some, something that the bank can look at and say, okay, these guys got their act together, and we can get behind them and they can do this. Does that make sense? So we're just trying to be good stewards. And so I just want to introduce a couple of our board members real quick, and then I'm going to take some questions and make this, kind of shorten this up here. Jack Hamilton, are you here? Where's Jack? Is he still here? I saw him earlier. He's in nursery? Okay. Well, Jack is one of our board members. And so a couple of these guys that I just wanted to have as far as board, just to kind of communicate, is I wanted to have somebody around me that I knew understood Scripture really well. Jack used to be on staff at a church as a staff pastor. He did student ministry. He's got Bible training. He's got a lot of ministry experience. And so I just really wanted a guy like Jack around with experience, with training, just to, he can see stuff, he can hear stuff, and I just got a sounding board. If I say something that doesn't sound good, we've got somebody there that can speak into that. Another person is Josh Holden. Josh Holden is not part of our church. His stepson Bryce was just up here playing guitar. He's here with us. But Josh is, I've known Josh for a long time. I invested a lot in Josh through the years. He is a CPA for a big firm over in Ohio. And he also has a heart for ministry, and he's been actively involved in ministry at just all the churches that he's been at. He's done a lot in children's ministry, and he's always had interest in just kind of, I think someday he's got the passion to be an executive pastor. But he is a CPA. And so what's been really helpful there is that Josh is kind of one of those no-nonsense guys that just understands finances and how to do things well and good practices. And so we've got Josh, who gets his eyes on everything. And then the last person that's here, it's on our board, is Dustin. Dustin, you still here? Dustin Stamper. And I know some of you know Dustin. He we know Dustin, some of us know Dustin from back in the Vineyard days, and then Dustin has helped fill in for worship for us here. Some from Stones Crossing, he led worship for us here and there at Stones. And Dustin is a business owner, and so he knows how to manage when you get something started and when things gets rough. He knows how to work through those. He's also not only a business owner, he's an IU grad. That's the main reason that I brought him up. Of course, his oldest just went to Purdue. Let's take a moment and pray. It's got to hurt, man. This has got to. But Dustin is another guy who he's well versed in Scripture, and he is a no nonsense guy. And I'm telling you, it is just so helpful to not have yes men around you when they see stuff. I'm telling you, they question. It's like, well, I don't think that's right. I don't think that's good. And this is what I would do. I wouldn't do. And so I'm just really grateful for these guys. They're guys that aren't afraid to get into my face, and I just really appreciate them. And the three of those guys and Christy, it's just a dynamic team that we've got. And part of our goal that I need to work on, that I started really putting time into it, then my mom having heart surgery just kind of set me back a little bit, is we want to just bring on an elder team. So we've got some local people here that are with us, that are seeing the ins and outs. Dustin and his family, they're very invested in Centerpoint Church down in Whiteland, and they just have an incredible heart for ministry, and they're a huge part of that church and that ministry down there. Their whole family is, and so just grateful for them being here to worship and celebrate with us this morning. So I just want to kind of give you just kind of some update on those things, and I just want to take just some questions. So any questions you guys have, I'm going to do my best to answer them. So anybody have any questions? Yes, ma'am. You have 10 seconds. 10. No, just kidding. Well, okay, yes, she's asking about a building fund account. So what we're doing, this is what the board kind of recommended. We're taking 7%. We kind of broke it up. We're taking 10% and breaking it up this way. We're putting 7% towards building fund. Okay, that's just starting in January. So we've put money in savings. So we've got money in savings account, but in the process of giving, we're taking 7% out and putting it in a building fund, and then 3% we're putting in a fund for church planting. Because part of what kind of my vision is, and I just see kind of I really think God is doing a work in the church today to get us out of this cultural Christianity, this cultural church of being a show, being a production, and really getting back on mission and changing the world with being the church that cares for those in need. And just really just being dynamic and being the change agent. I'm not saying we won't have a nice facility and things. I'm just saying that that's got to be the primary focus, is living it out and being the church. And so I think that they get lost in larger crowds. There's nothing wrong with mega churches. There's nothing large with larger churches. But what I see the mission that Jesus did is he invested in 12 men and he sent them out to change the world. And the Apostle Paul says in 2 Timothy 2:2 to take what you have learned and entrust it to other faithful men that they can go and do the same thing. The Apostle Paul wasn't there with Jesus, but the Apostle Paul got the mission, and he single-handedly, with a team of people, they started planting churches. And if they didn't live on mission and planting all those churches, we wouldn't be here today. Because they just spread throughout the whole Mesopotamia area. And so it's part of the vision and the mission of the church is to raise up leaders and to send them out. So that's what we want to do. That's really what our legacy is not how great I did, but how great we were in raising up leaders and sending them out, sending our best out to start new works in communities where there's churches that are on the decline, where there's people that aren't being reached. So we want to just have money there. So 3 years down the road, we don't go, man, we'd like to plant a church, but we just don't have any money there. We planned for it, okay? So we do have money going into a building fund, and we're kind of just monitoring that as we go in a very conservative way at this point. Anybody else? Yes, ma'am. Yes, that is another big thing we need to. It's got to come together. It's just figuring out. That's really one. Really, just need to find a key partnership, and just seeing how they're doing ministry. That they are, because that's another big thing that's changing in the world. Is just how world missions are taking place. For too long, it's just it's been just the Western church sending all these goods over there, but we've got to be investing in ministries where they're empowering the nationals and actually helping them. So we're not just setting up welfare systems in other nations. And so that's one of the things I just really need to get a task force, a team together to start working on that. So we do want to do that. It's just we haven't gotten there yet. So that's a very good question. And yes, I think that's where the ends of the earth, that's part of what we want to be able to partner with other organizations that are already there living on mission and come alongside them and send teams down, those kinds of things. So, but we still got to figure that part out. So that's good.